What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a look at what is going on with a lot of new starter decks. Now, I know it's only been 5 minutes since we had the official reveal of starter deck 29, which is going to be Yellow Egghead Luffy. That is coming, that has now been officially revealed, we know it's there. We've even seen a couple of cards from it. We're having a jolly old time. But it's interesting to note that I have also told you about Starter Deck 30. Now, Starter Deck 30 is interesting, of course, because it's going to be themed around Paramount War. And I told you yesterday, the other day, depends when this went up. But I told you very recently that, of course, OP16 is also going to be themed around Paramount War. So it's kind of nice. We've got a lot of Paramount War going on. This is lovely. Well, it turns out there's 6 more starter decks coming. 6 more starter decks! But of course, you know the deal here, right? When I say 6 more starter decks, we're not actually talking about 6 individual starter decks. We're talking about a set of 6. Although that's a confusing way to put it, because they are sold as 6 individual starter decks. But it very much is a set of 6, rather than 6 individual releases like Starter Deck 29. I'm hoping that makes sense. There we go. And it should make sense, because we've done this before. We've literally done this, well, we've done it a couple of times at this stage, haven't we? Most recently, we had a group of starter decks up to and including Starter Deck 28, Starter Deck 23 to 28, and that was your Red Shanks, Green Bonnie, Blue Buggy, Purple Blue Luffy, or Blue Purple Luffy, Black Teach, and Green Yellow Yamato. We had a set of them. It was lovely. That was a thing. Wonderful. But that was not actually the only time we'd done this. The first time we did this was actually Starter Deck 15 to 20, and that was where we had Newgate, Uta, Doflamingo, Luffy obviously, Smoker, and Katakuri. Now, what's very interesting is we can look at both of these and go, okay, they have a bunch of stuff in common. We'll look at that as we go through. But the first thing which I think must be noted here, reprints. They are reprints. Don't worry though, because it says that in the description. 6 colours of decks for beginners releasing at the same time. 6 colours of starter decks which are from previous series. Simple leader effects and colour characteristics make this an ideal product for newcomers. 5 cards with new text in each colour. Each deck contains 5 cards with new text. Add these 5 new cards to an existing battle style and evolve your strategy. 1 pack of OP16 included. Includes 1 OP16 pack featuring reprints of popular cards from past packs. Even newcomers can strengthen their decks and enhance their One Piece card game experience. Now, essentially, what this tells us kind of as a whole, when we add this all together, what it tells us is, yeah, we've been here before. This is what we've seen before. Job's a good one. If we have a look at starter decks 15 to 20, we had a set of 6. They were all reprints. We had 1 for each color, and they had 5 mechanically unique new cards per deck. If we have a look at starter deck 23 to 28, there was 1 of each color. They were all reprints, and each deck had 5 mechanically unique cards in there. So this is very much part 3. Now, it's also worth noting, these are going to be budget decks in Japan. Because they were budget decks when it was 15 to 20. They were budget decks when it was 23 to 28. They will be budget decks here again. They might have gone up because of inflation and all of that. But traditionally, these have been like 550 yen. Which, to put it simply, is disgustingly cheap. You get the deck for $3.50. That's how much these decks are in Japan. I was in Japan when the last set of 6 came out. I just casually picked up 1 of each. It was easy. Over here, they're not budget decks because we don't do budget decks. We have some decks like Starter Deck 13, for example, which are kind of fancy decks, where we get, you know, whether it's a deck box or sleeves or something else and it gets all fancy. Yeah, we have fancy decks, but we have our baseline decks and we don't go below them. So what this means is we have to have a booster pack as well. When it was starter deck 15 to 20, we had a pack of Premium Booster 01, which was actually awesome because the decks came out a couple of weeks before Premium Booster 01 came out. So we had this like ridiculous situation where, and it was only for a very short period, like a week or two, but like the only way to get Premium Booster 01 was to buy these starter decks. And they had like one booster in, and the market was completely screwed up, and the whole thing was ridiculous. But it was honestly kind of fun. We liked it. Then when we had the second lot of decks coming around, that was starter deck 23 to 28. Wasn't quite as fun. It was a pack of OP11. OP11, still a very good set, don't get me wrong. OP11's one of the best sets we've had, but it's really hard to beat that excitement of, hang on a second, we can get that new premium booster, that special set early. The catch is you get one pack when you buy the starter deck. And then Facebook was absolutely flooded with people selling what they call the bricks. That is to say, the starter deck cards, just without the pack included. Honestly, it was a pretty fun time. This is not where we are, unfortunately. OP16... we don't know a huge amount about OP16, but I did give you the run through, so very, very quickly. OP16 is our Paramount War theme set, and we had a big discussion in the video yesterday, but essentially, there is this mystery where it says that character comes out as a leader, that character who had a major influence in the war is coming out as a leader card. And it said finally, so I'm assuming it's a new one. We don't know who that is. Get your predictions down in the comment section. But the point I'm making here is, it's not a huge set. Not like Premium Booster 01 was. Even OP11 on release was a pretty gosh darn big set. You know, OP11 was like the first set that actually gave us those anniversary cards that finish in OP14. That was cool, right? It was the first one that gave us that. And of course, OP11, you know, it had a manga Luffy, so OP11 wasn't some kind of like uber set, but it was still a pretty big set as far as things go. And certainly that gold Luffy is an absolute monster of a card. Now, this is the point of the video where some of you might be thinking, well, all right, why hasn't he told us about the 6 leaders and which ones are coming? The answer is, I don't know. I wish I did know. Be lovely if I knew. Don't know. Sorry. There's even a chance, I'm not saying how big a chance, but there's even a chance that we could get like OP15 leaders in here that we haven't even seen yet. I think it's fair to assume there will be a Luffy. And the reason I think it's fair to assume there'll be a Luffy is because first time around we had a Luffy leader, and second time around we had a Luffy leader, and Luffy's a pretty big deal. Luffy's had a ridiculous amount of the starter decks, and I've told you starter deck 29 is coming with Luffy, and it's going to be that again. There's going to be a Luffy in there. Could it end up being... well, there's so many Luffy around is the problem. And, like, it's pretty easy to go, well, what about the one from EBO2? And I'd go, well, I mean, yeah, the one from EBO2, but that also did have the Dodgers one. So do we want, like, another reprint of that leader when we've already had, like, the super fancy Dodgers version of it? Maybe we do. But I think there's an argument that we really don't. But then again, by the same token, the one that came around in starter deck 18 was a reprint of the OP05 Luffy, which was actually the PSA, the special Luffy that I got to reveal that time. So maybe they don't mind. I don't know is the honest answer. But certainly, you know, that one would make sense. Or more recently, in OP11, we did have the blue-purple Luffy. That's a very good Luffy. So maybe it could be that one. Or in OP13, we had the red-green Luffy. You see what I mean about us getting a lot of Luffy cards? We get, in both sets and in starter decks, we do get a lot of Luffy cards. But the point I'm making here is there's going to be a Luffy. Now, I know they say simple leader effects. The thing is, I got sucked in last time. Last time they were like, oh, mate, we're doing simple leader effects. It's fine. And then they went and gave us Marshall D. Teach. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I think Marshall D. Teach is actually very much not a simple leader effect. That's actually kind of awkward. So I don't believe them when they say simple leader effects. Last time around, I made predictions based on their assertion that they're going to be simple leader effects. And I don't want to sound rude, but frankly, they lied to me, ladies and gentlemen. I think they lied anyway. I'm not upset about this. I just want it on the record. So we're going to be getting 6 of them. They're going to be designed for newer players. They are going to be one of each color. And yes, we are getting those 5 mechanically unique cards. And remember, sometimes we get really, really good cards in here. Like the Thatch from Starter Deck 15 that right now everyone is realizing is hard to get hold of, but it's actually like a ridiculously good card that everybody wants, as an example. So yes, even though there's only 5 mechanically unique new cards in each deck, you are going to need to buy these, and yes, just like every starter deck, you are going to need to buy 2 copies of them, because that's unfortunately the way they tend to roll. So there we go. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about all of this in the comments section. And of course, give us your prediction for which ones you think are coming through. Go nuts in the comments section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.